Sorry, one more. No.
Which one is it? Number of it. Assalamu alaikum. So today's session is going to be about hijab and then protecting our eyes. Yeah. Protecting our eyes. Oh. Okay. So the first one is about what is hijab. So the word hijab comes from an Arabic word meaning to veil, and it describes a Muslim woman's dress code, saying that they should cover every part of their body besides their hands and their face. Hijab should be loose, not smell of perfume, be transparent, or resemble the dressing of men or non-believing women. Normally it's adopted at the age of puberty, which is the age in which a person is held accountable for their actions in Islam. Many women are required to wear it in front of Muslim women are required to wear it in front of anyone who is not considered a mahram, so like your cousins or any male that's like outside of your house. And your mahrams include your father, your uncle, your granddads, and your brothers. There's different interpretations on whether or not you can wear makeup with hijab, but many say that since jewelry and makeup are a form of adornment, they shouldn't be worn or made obvious while wearing a hijab that's meant to cover your beauty. So social media has put on this view that like hijab, you can like style it and make it as like a form of to replace your hair, but the purpose of it is to cover up your hair and your aura, so it don't turn into a substitute. So does anyone know why we wear hijab? Amira?
Is it to protect ourselves from the evil eye or something?
Yeah. Okay. So we wear hijab because of different reasons, but first off, it was commanded to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Nur. So it says, and tell the believing women to lower their gazes and guard their chastity and not to reveal their adornments, except what normally appears. Let them draw their veils over their chests and not reveal their hidden adornments, except to their husbands, fathers, and their father-in-law, their sons, their stepsons, their brothers, sisters, sisters' sons, or their fellow women, or those male attendants with no desire, children who are still unaware of women's nakedness. The second reason is because it's a barrier between a man and a Muslim woman to hide themselves, the part of themselves that men are attracted to as a part of covering our aura. And the third one is because it identifies a Muslim woman as a proud follower of Islam, because it's a visible symbol of our faith. And although hijab styles change around the world, it's still a worldwide symbol of a Muslim woman. In Western society, social media has perceived a type of hijab that's not Islamically correct. For example, some influencers wear clothing that imitates a male or wearing tight tops and justifying it because they aren't showing any skin, but that's not correct hijab because it's supposed to be loose and cover up your body. it's easy to get caught up in social media trends at the time, but it's so much more important that we keep in our mind that the end goal is the hereafter. Remember that as much as yes, you can have fun in this dunya, it's important to remember our limits and boundaries, and that you can't sacrifice Jannah to dress like the majority. So do you guys have any advice about anyone who would start wearing hijab? Honey?
I think, for example, we all know what the correct hijab is, but let's say someone is dressing the way that you stated that as not the hijab, the proper hijab. You shouldn't be harsh and say, some people they might say, oh, what you're wearing is not hijab. That's not the way to encourage them. If someone is taking that small step, encourage them to go further. Because like I'm sure we all haven't started wearing the full proper hijab, right? We all have our clothes as well. So if someone is taking that one step, even if it's not the correct hijab at the time, just give them words of encouragement so then they can, get to the end goal.
Yeah. Anyone else? Mariam?
Also, when you are wearing the hijab as well, it's also about keeping yourself covered. So there's no point wearing a hijab if you're just going to wear like tight clothing underneath, so make sure that you're wearing baggy clothes.
Yeah. So since many women around us don't wear hijab, sometimes it's difficult for some people to wear it because they may feel like odd or left out. But we have to remember that it was commanded to us by Allah and we're supposed to please Him and our end goal. And second off, if you're a new person, like for example, if you've converted or like you're just trying to make yourself more modest and you're struggling to try wearing hijab, first start off by making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Him to make it easy on you, and inshallah in no time you get the courage to wear it. And also surround yourself with girls who will encourage you and support you with starting to wear it, because it's much more easy if you have people around you who are trying to encourage you. And second, find a hijab style that suits you, like it covers you, but also suits you, and that makes you feel confidence. So, we already did that, but does anyone know what external modesty is? Honey?
So like what you show on the outside, so for example your clothing.
Yeah. So we already kind of covered external modesty and hijab, but it's just covering ourselves. But also you need to remember that your intentions when you're getting dressed, it shouldn't be to boast. For example, if you're wearing something expensive or whatever, you shouldn't like brag about it, because we're dressing in a way to get closer to Allah, not show off your wealth. And internal modesty, does anyone know what that is? Yeah.
To like, if you have something maybe like that someone else doesn't, or like you're in a better position than someone else, you shouldn't like brag.
Yeah, like your intentions from the start. Anyone else? Hadia?
It's like about your personality and really.
Yeah, that's right. Anyone else, or is that any?
Character is probably the easiest.
Yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ said, faith consists of more than 70 branches, and haya, modesty, is part of our faith. Haya is normally seen as just being shy and keeping to yourself, but it's like having health, self-respect and modesty inside and outside of your body. Haya is in what we watch. For example, many types of TV shows, movies, books, and entertainment, they deal with immodest topics that might cause us to lose our haya and shamefulness. And second, it's haya in what we say. So right now in obviously modern society, swearing is becoming much more common. For example, like if you're happy, sad or angry tones. But you have to keep in mind that on the Day of Judgment, our tongue will testify for or against whatever you've said. And especially in the month of Ramadan, the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever does not give up false statements and evil deeds and speaking bad words to other, Allah is not in need of his fasting. So yeah. Last one is societal problems from lack of hijab. So around 60 years ago, the society was much more modest and the norm was covering ourselves. But in the past 30 years, the norm is becoming showing more and more of our body. Another thing normalized in recent years is having relationships with the opposite gender. And as you get older, obviously, that leads to having children outside of wedlock because of your actions. Those relations, like, when they get older, it might lead to divorce because the relationship was wrong and improper from the start. So we can kind of tell why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made these things specifically haram, because obviously He knows what's best for us and He knows what we shouldn't be doing. So, young people, they might not understand it now, but there's a reason why everything that's made haram is made haram. So, does anyone know how we can use social media to maintain modesty? Mariam?
So during the month of Ramadan, what we can all do is when we're wearing the hijab, we're learning to wear the hijab during Ramadan, and we our parents could get us these nice dresses that we can wear, nice long waist dresses, and then we could post it on social media, and that will make other young people want to see it, and then they would want to also do that as well because they've seen how beautiful that is.
Yeah.
Listening about this, but I have a question.
Okay.
Is swearing haram?
Yeah, you're not supposed to use that type of language. It's just wrong.
Is it haram though?
Honey, I don't. It's haram though. I think it's haram. Yeah, it's haram. Honey.
I think it kind of links back to what your point was previously about having haya and to guard. So, for example, certain things that we might see, TV shows, books, whatever, it might contradict our shyness. So, if we link this to social media, there's certain things that we might see in social media that are haram, and they contradict what the hijab is. So just taking that step to unfollow those people, it is hard, but just taking that step to unfollow those people, it will help, it will be beneficial.
Yeah. So social media is one of the easiest avenues of immense reward and conversely much punishment. To learn reward from Allah, we should keep the following guidelines in mind. To make it an act of worship, a key of goodness, not a key to evil, and to ensure that any Islamic content you post, make sure it's correct and authentic. Leave behind a legacy of goodness for other people. Have good character and be respectful. Lower your gaze and be polite, and be conscious of Allah in your hearts, and reflect and think deeply to utilize social media in a good way. Explain a scenario and how we can be a good representative of Muslim on social media. Like, how can you use your influence as a Muslim on social media to influence others?
You can see influencers that kind of encourage fashion and trends in everyday clothing and stuff. So you could kind of change that by having more examples set by wearing abayas and wearing long dresses and wearing stuff. So if you had more examples of that, it might make people more comfortable to be able to go out in that rather than feeling like the odd one out. But when there's more of them, they might feel more easier to wear it.
Yeah, Mariam.
So from the Instagram page for UKIM, when you talked about Surah, talking about basically what it's representing, saying, how can you implement it in your life? You basically are teaching other people.
Teach other people du'as and common things that people might do wrong without realizing it. Because I feel in our era now, there are a lot of things that people don't realize are wrong, so they do it. But not enough people are teaching them this is right, this is wrong.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. So this is just the last one. So first off, you need to remember yourself that you need to know the reality of who you are and believe in what you've accomplished. You don't need the approval of others, you'll need Allah's. And remember that pleasing Allah is your ultimate purpose. So you should give all your gratitude of Allah, and that's what's going to give you true happiness. And that's the end of my staying up for now.
I'm going to be talking about protecting our eyes and what it kind of means and stuff. So, what is protecting our eyes? So, protecting our eyes, metaphorically speaking, is lowering our gaze, and it means restraining the gaze, not allowing it to wander or dwell upon anything. But it's also by, if you're restricting our eyes, we should also be restricting our mind and not allowing it to go beyond things that shouldn't be going beyond. But then lowering your gaze also is like, it allows you to keep your peace, because if you're looking at something negative and you see that, if you lower your gaze and you look down at it, you're maintaining your peace inside. And obviously we know that Islam means peace, and it's a peaceful religion, and it's one of the main characteristics we should follow as a Muslim, as we should keep peace between people, and we should keep peace between ourselves. And it reminds you to be grateful for what's in front of you, rather than looking around and seeing what other people have, and you kind of desire over what they have, but even though you can't have it, you just kind of want it, even though it's just not allowed. So lowering our gaze allows us to keep that peace within, and allows us to focus on ourselves rather than looking around and seeing what other people are doing and comparing yourself. But lowering our gaze is also a key aspect of being modest. So what is modesty? What would you guys define modesty as? Miriam?
Modesty is basically covering ourselves, so we wear the hijab, and it's also about not wearing tight clothes, so always wearing baggy clothes. And it's also like how we are inside as well, and we don't wear perfume or anything to attract anyone.
Right.
It's basically to conceal your beauty. So from other people that might take it the wrong way.
Yeah. So modesty or haya is when a person refrains from things that are bad and reprehensible. So modesty can come in different forms, like the way we dress, the way we speak, and the way we behave. But modesty does not only count for women. Men also have to be modest, but obviously it's in different ways to a woman. But being modest also allows us to help keep other people's gaze lowered, and also help our gaze be lowered, as you're keeping yourself respectfully covered, but it's also not distracting yourself by others around you, and it's not distracting others. So it allows you to also keep your gaze lowered. Lowering our gaze. So lowering our gaze is by not looking at the beauty of the opposite gender, and we can help that by covering our aura. So when we lower our gaze, it allows us to keep our peace and only admire what's in front of us and not around us. So like I said before, it's kind of focusing on yourself, as at the end of the day, you're only competing with yourself. It's only you that you kind of want to be the end goal, and you shouldn't compare others and see, I want to be that goal, because it's between yourself at the end of the day. And obviously you're doing this to get into Jannah, and you're doing this to help make yourself better, and you shouldn't look at others and you shouldn't admire others and think, oh yeah, I want to be that. But then also in the Quran, it tells us in Surah Nur, that verse 30-31, it tells us that tell the believing woman to lower their gaze and protect their private parts. So even the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that, we should keep ourselves hidden, we should keep ourselves modest, but we shouldn't look at things that, that will cause us harm or distract us or distress us or anything, because it's just not right. What is aura? Does anybody know what aura means?
It's what you have to cover up.
Yeah. So aura is for both men and women, and it is the covering of your body in front of your non-mahrams, which are like your distant relatives, or like your people out on the street, or like people you don't know. But then your mahrams are people who are related to you by blood. But the aura in front of her mahram, so people she can show her hair to and stuff, is her entire body, except those that are usually appeared, so as the face, the hair, the neck, the forearms, and the feet. But the aura of a woman with another woman is the area between the navel and the knee. And we should kind of dress in a way that covers our aura. So we should dress modestly, and we should dress with loose clothing, and we should cover all our body parts except the hands and the face. But some scholars do believe that the feet we should also cover, but obviously that's up to your personal opinion and what you believe. But even though we have to cover many more body parts, and we have to be more careful about what we wear and stuff, men are taught to lower their gaze, and they're taught to respect the decision of women who do cover their aura. And it's not just us that need to be doing that, men should also be doing their part. But what ways can we like cover our aura, and what ways can we do to help like cover ourselves? Ramesa, what can we do to cover our aura?
Just modesty.
Yeah, exactly. So we can like wear the hijab, and we can wear loose, less modest clothing around our non-mahrams, and then we should restrict our talk with the opposite gender, and then wear like dresses and abayas and stuff. Aura in that picture, it kind of shows us like two different opposite sides of what we should wear and what we shouldn't. But aura is not there to restrict us or anything. It's there as a guidance to allow us to like. It gives us that guidance on the way we dress ourselves and the way we cover it. It allows us to reduce the amount of our body showing. And in the image, you can see that she's wearing the hijab. So you're covering your hair / beauty, and then it also shows that loose clothing and it hides your figure, as well as being long enough to not show off. So protecting our aura is a way for Muslim females to have haya and only keep their beauty for the sake of their mahrams. And we shouldn't take modesty as a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making us, he's forcing it upon us as something bad, because obviously everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does is for a reason. Everything that he's making us do is all for the beneficial of ourselves. So we should take that in consideration when, we're getting dressed in the morning and stuff. But then in our days, like in modern times now, aura has been quite normalized, but what ways do you guys think that aura has been like not covering yourself has been like normalized, and wearing the wrong stuff has like been shown more in like society nowadays? Miriam?
I was gonna say, because of social media, like what we see is what people wear. So you see like a girl wearing a hijab, but then again she's like wearing tight clothes. So it's all about making sure that you are covering up, because young people in this generation are looking at it and they will copy and do what you're telling them to and what you're wearing.
But aura has been normalized by, like she said, like social media and influencers, but then it's like short clothing and an improper way of hijab. But then it's also speaking with the opposite gender, because we don't realise this. We all went to a school with boys and girls, and we still do. And you might not even realise that you might be talking to them, and sometimes that can have an influence on you. And you might not realise, but sometimes it can, and it can cause things that, is not very like good. But then social media influencers, like Miriam says, it's you might see people online and you might see them and you're like, you want to be like them because you look up to them as a role model. But sometimes that role model is maybe not the best, and it can cause you to go off the wrong path, and it can cause you to not do the right things. But then social media can also be used as a good way. It can also help you encourage you to address modesty. It can encourage you to put on the hijab. It doesn't always have to be bad. It can also be good. So the effect it can have on us, because obviously our aura is like one of the main things that we should kind of be focusing on. But with the influence of social media, again, it can cause us to idolize famous influencers and celebrities, and it can cause us to follow what they do. And this may not always be the correct Muslim teachings and can therefore lead us down the wrong route. But due to us living in a predominantly Christian country, their beliefs are different to ours. So obviously they wear different things, they believe different things, and this may cause us to be different and dress different, and it may affect the way we present ourselves. But with their influence, it could also cause us to not dress modestly or lower our gaze, and it can cause us to kind of do the wrong things. As we're seeing that more in society. You might think that is the right thing, but it's not, because obviously they believe different things to us. So with our surroundings, mainly being non-believers, we are more open to seeing girls not covering their aura and therefore not wearing modest clothing. But although we may see this around us, it's important to not incorporate into our lives, and it's important for us to remember that, even though they're doing it, doesn't mean that we have to do it, and we shouldn't see it as a thing that we should do to fit in, because it's not there to fit in. Everyone's different, everyone has different style, but however, we all are on our own journey. And covering our aura is a personal relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should use it as a guide rather than just using it as a full-on restriction for ourselves. But we should remember that obviously modesty doesn't come all of a sudden. It's going to take steps, because sometimes you might put the hijab on, but you might not wear it all the time. But it's a step of wearing it at least a little bit. And these could progress further and further, but it's your intention that matters. And if you intend to wear it and you intend to cover up, obviously that can progress further and further, and eventually you can wear it properly and you can become a better Muslim and become more modest. The video that I'm going to show you.
I'm sorry, but it's something that you need to know. Better than you being so damn close. I take it back to the start. I'll be dread. Loyalty's strong. Wait, see when your love is done. You put out, you don't want. I don't wanna go no drama. I don't wanna go no drama. I just wanna tell you what's the truth. Send it back to life. I don't wanna go no drama. I don't wanna go no drama. I just wanna tell you what's the truth. Send it back to life.
Sorry, big bro. Leave it now.
Can you guys hear it? Yeah.
Mr. Murray, here's your lunch. Do you need any money?
Why is it so serious? You just don't want to get married. Well, we're going to get married. How are you going to cope?
You don't worry, I'll be fine. Huh?
Honestly, there's no. Thanks, no. Ever since I've had past, you've been my everything. Dad, my brother, my sister, my everything.
Just chill, yeah. What was I going to do? Not feed you and help you with this world? Listen, just make sure when you get married, you get your husband to get the house next to me, yeah?
You're amazing.
I'll lie. You're getting late. See you later. Don't be late for dinner.
Where's Mom? I'm coming.
You saw the love that he showed to his sister now. Since mom and dad got the way he made a vow. She's all he had and he'll do anything for her. We show the same love to another sister out there. Imagine if he came in the same life. For everybody we show respect and pride. Said this simple rule, I'm just here to show. Yeah, I don't wanna go no drama. I don't want no drama. wasn't true. Sending back to life. I don't wanna go no drama. I don't wanna go no drama. I just wanna tell you what's true. Sending back to life.
Yo, Mr. Swaller's baby.
Yo, you get something. What you say? Good.
Hey, listen, bro, I need your help. You know my cousin Don?
Yeah, of course I broke.
Cool, so man's been looking this girl, man. My married to his cousin.
Wait, what? What kind of madness is this? Why are you man saying it's the same girl?
Cool, so Darnish and Malik's cousin, they work at the same place. So, obviously, arguing over her. I ain't never seen this girl, and neither has Malik. But I'm just saying we're siding with the family.
Say no more, bro. Mine. What man I got now?
That's what. No, go.
See what they're doing now, hypocrisy. They said it's the monster, it's tragic. But if it was them, then they'd love to see. You see. But I don't wanna go no drama. I don't wanna go no drama. I just wanna tell you what's true. Sending back to life. I don't wanna go no drama. I don't wanna go no drama. I just wanna tell you what's true. Sending back to life. I don't wanna go no drama. I don't wanna go no drama. I just wanna tell you what's true. Sending back to life. I don't wanna go no drama. I don't wanna go no drama. I just wanna tell you what's true. Sending back to life.
What's happening?
Well, subhanAllah, I'm arguing over a girl.
Girl, what do you mean?
That guy with the blonde hair, his cousin is dating this girl. But the guy in the red jacket, his friend is dating the same girl too.
Are they Muslims?
Unfortunately, yeah.
That guy now.
Assalamu alaikum.
What, bro? Wait.
I'm not high on my something. I hear you arguing with something which is not right.
Come on, mind your business and wait for them, man.
But I'm not avoiding. I'm just trying to give you some advice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Just don't have a boy, do something I regret. Yeah? Keep it moving.
Stuck. I'm going to leave. But remember, you guys are bargaining over someone's daughter and someone's sister. Just remember that.
I'm so sorry.
What's your name? My name's Omar.
My name is subhanAllah. It's just so sad to see. Brothers in Islam arguing over a haram relationship.
To be honest, it's not a Muslim. It's someone's daughter. And they're bargaining and bartering over someone's daughter. Ya Allah.
Malik, listen. Don't look at me. That guy is my eyes, go. Come on.
Bro, you and I are moving mad. My cousin told me him and this gal have been so many times. So, how exactly is your cousin's gal at you?
My cousin told me he's licking her as well.
Your cousin, I'm chatting to man now about this gal you told me about. You with her? Listen, yeah, roll up with her.
Yeah, bring the code down and tell Johnny to come down as well. Let you get to go on my video.
Yeah. Alright, let me cool down to this.
Near this park, front shop. You round the corner. What, you should stay? Stay. Come back, no more.
I hope.
My cousin's on his way still.
Yo, where you and my brothers go? Tell her to get up and tell her to choose. Donna's be here any minute.
Come out.
Oh my God. Hurry up.
That's her sister. Oh, the guy in the red jacket. The guy who was arguing like
That's what I was thinking.
You brothers were bartering, selling someone's daughter, and it ended up being Isa alayhi salam met Dunya once, and Dunya was dressed like a lady of the night, a prostitute. And Isa alayhi salam said, "Oh Dunya, how many people have come to you?" And Dunya said, "Millions. Millions upon millions." And Isa alayhi salam said, "How many have you been loyal to them?" And Dunya said, "None of them." This is the reality of Dunya. Loyalty lies in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So brother, you see what we do. Let's not fall for the fitna of this dunya. Let's not fall for this falsehood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the truth. This is your opportunity to change right now. And you brothers as well. It's an opportunity to make yourself better. Your name is so beautiful. Who's mom? Muhammad. The best of names. SubhanAllah. How short the name. Let's go to the masjid and let's talk to our king. Let's complain to our king about this. Let's go.
I got videos. Oh no, I lost it. Oh.
So what did everyone learn from the video? I know it was a bit different from what it is, but they had some like good points in it and stuff. So what did everyone learn?
That even if you did wear a good bio fully covered, it's about your character and how you are personality.
Anybody else?
Like at the end of the day, I think this more relates to boys and girls, but it's boys to strap as well. Like, at the end of the day, when you're in like some sort of around relationship, you're messing with somebody's family member, could be their, for example, we're also somebody's sister, we're also someone's daughter, right? So think about, like, would you, for example, you saw her in the video, she was ashamed of herself and I would have found out. So think about yourself in that situation. How would you be? Would you be proud of yourself if your family member found out, about certain things that you'd be doing? And try not to be secretive as well.
Okay. But in summary to everything that's like I said and stuff, covering our aura is a duty we have from our Creator, and this can come in steps that can lead us to fully outfilling that. And Allah Subhanahu wa Taala only wants the best for us, and therefore we should be grateful that He's given us the gift of seeing, and we shouldn't use this against us, and we shouldn't use this as a negative thing. We should use it as our benefit. And we should rather use our eyes as a way to learn and progress rather than a way to compare and to be jealous of what other people have and what you don't. And this can lead us to becoming the best versions of ourselves and focusing on yourself rather than the people around you, because when, like I said before, it's about keeping your peace inside you. And if you're looking around and focusing on what other people are wearing, what other people are, going out and saying and stuff, you're not focusing on yourself. You're not focusing on what you want to be. You're not having yourself as an end goal. You're focusing more on your surroundings, and that's what's right in front of you. And it causes you to change the way Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala intends for us to be, because He even says it in the Quran that we should protect ourselves and we should cover our aura and stuff. There are some questions like to think about and stuff, but what are like the psychological, spiritual, emotional effects on an individual after partaking in like zina and stuff, and like after like going in like a haram relationship and stuff, and like what's going on, like what happened in the video basically, like what effects can that like lead on to you having later on in life, right?
You feel like it kind of stays with you for the rest of your life, and when after you like get out of that haram relationship you were in one, like when you get married after that, it'll kind of stick with you and you'll remember it and you'll feel kind of like ashamed or anything.
Mm-hmm. And it's also like Ryan says, yeah, you will feel guilty and stuff, but you got to remember that the pleasures of this dunya is only for a short time. We shouldn't intend this as our like forever home, because it's not. Our end goal is to get into Jannah, and we should remember that, and we should be focusing more on like our deen, and we should be focusing more on our religion rather than our surroundings and what other people are doing. But how does the content we consume with our eyes affect our mental, physical, and spiritual health?
I think we've become so like hard-hearted. So like certain things are just so wrong for us to see, where our hearts are so down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that sense. So like spiritually, like if you see something like a half-naked whatever it is, yeah, you're not going to be unaffected, right? But it affects your spiritual health, because someone that does guard their chastity, when they see that sort of stuff, immediately they turn away. Do you know what I mean? So,
it's also about having like Henning says, like, yeah, we have a heart, it's going to have a hard heart, and we're so blinded by it that we don't even realise what we're actually meant to do and what's the good of the world, and we're just kind of focusing on the bad stuff. But how can you encourage someone to dress more modestly? Like, what can you do to that? Like, for example, how would you help your friend if she's like trying to put the hijab on or something, or she's trying to become a better Muslim? How would you like help her and stuff? Mariam?
Talk to them, like when you're with them, you can tell them, take it step by step. Like, if I'm wearing a hijab, we do it, you try and see what it's like to wear the hijab. Shopping together, we'll pick out hijabs and some nice dresses that you can wear.
Yeah.
Please answer, isn't it?
All right. It's all right.
No, I think I'll give you an example out of my life, right? So at uni, I've got like a few friends, and one day we just said, you know what, let's just like turn up in our jilbabs, because like when you go collectively, you don't think, oh my god, you don't have that fear, someone's looking at me, right? So when you do things collectively as a friendship group, and I'm sure we've all got like, for example, everyone's kind of divided over here in like certain friendship groups, right? So it's like you have them good friends, but just encourage each other, you know what, let's just do it. Like if it means all of us going in together in a fire or a jilbab, that's you taking that step, and it builds your confidence as well.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you realize, you know what, no one's even looking at me. When you think in your head, oh, people don't think I'm weird. No one actually does. It's just all in your head. So just coming together and just taking that step.
Follow.
I think personally, many people think that they will seem to be ready for it, but I think it's one of those things, if you grow up not wearing a hijab or just in modesty, I don't think you'll ever be ready for it because you're not used to it. So I think it's also one of those things, if your friend is growing up without it and doesn't really know what to do, then you really do need to step up and be their support, so that they
I don't think I'll ever feel ready for it, but so that they do have that extra confidence to come into it.
Yeah, it's like just giving that little push to like help them and like allow them to become more modest. But what changes in like your everyday lifestyle can you make to have like more higher, have more modesty? Like just by like little things you can do just to help yourself become better. Aya, what changes in our lifestyle can we do to have more modesty? Anybody want to help her? Husna?
Like thinking about how you speak and the words that you use, thinking about what thoughts you have as well and trying to restrict those.
That's a good point. How do like, obviously everyone else's goals are going to be different to everybody, but what do you aspire to be? What would you like to have as your end goal? What would you like to be when you like?
I'd like to be like Prophet Muhammad and like just follow his like lifestyle.
Yeah. What role models can you have that you can look up to, and like instead of having like your influencers and your celebrities, what people in your everyday lives can you look up to and be like, oh yeah, I wanna be like them, I wanna grow up to be like that. Aisha? What simple role models can you look up to?
Like if you see people like dressing modestly on like the streets, and you see like how they look nice, and you like get inspired to dress like that.
Raya?
Your mum?
Yeah. Hadia? Yeah. Alright. That's the end of my reminder. Thank you. Any questions from the audience?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. One thing that I really appreciate that I learned from you was in the beginning that, you know, lowering our gaze is not just lowering our gaze from the opposite gender, but it's actually, it's lowering your gaze from certain things. So it could be, let's say you see something in somebody's household, you lower your gaze because you're guarding their privacy. So I really like that point that you made.
Oh.
Inshallah, we'll conclude with the dua. Subhanallah wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Glory is to you, O Allah, and praise is to you. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship but you. I seek your forgiveness and repent to you. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا
You're so different.